Alrighty, guys, we are ready for the last chapter. Chapter 12, the exciting conclusion. St. Peter's horn had an odd kind of a sound. Well, instead of saying toot toot, as you might expect a horn to do, it made more of a sound like kablam! And it made fire that lit up the sky. And something went whistling over our heads. Well, shucks, that wasn't St. Peter at all, but High Looper. And he was standing on the back of the porch blasting away on his shotgun. Scrunch had just fitted my throat around his jaws and was fixing to remove it. When the artillery opened, he threw his head up in the air. "Scrunch, you better hurry," said one of the other coyotes. "You need to kill that dog fast." Scrunch was going for the throat again, and for that quick kill, when the second load of shot arrived. Looper found his range, and he distributed a full load of number 7 bird shot evenly through that crowd. You'd never heard such yipping and squalling. Them coyotes were jumping around like little crickets in a shoebox, knocking into each other and trying to get out of there. All but Scrunch, that is. He backed away real slow. "Another time, Hunk. We will meet again." "Yeah, and so's your old man." That's the best I could come up with on the spur of the moment. And I had a sore throat. I picked myself up and limped around, and I had some nicks and cuts, but nothing was busted. I come through that fight pretty good, and all things considered. Looper had come running up the hill, slipping shells into his shotgun. He hadn't even taken the time to put on his pants. God bless him. Probably saved my life. All he had on was a pair of his boxer shorts and cowboy boots. Man, I tell you, those legs looked awful pale and skinny sticking out of those boxer shorts, but I was glad to see him. "Darned old coyotes!" he yelled. Then he went and looked at me. And this next part, it's kind of shocking. So prepare yourself. He looked right at me. Still kind of gets me choked up every now and then. He smiled. That's right, he smiled at me. Old Hank the Cowdog. I was just by George overwhelmed by it. In my whole career, I could never remember Looper smiling at me. "Hank!" he cried. "You've come back home." He laid down the gun and came over and threw his arms around me. He gave me a big old hug. "By golly, it's good to have you." I licked him on the face. He drew back and wrinkled his nose. "But whoo, dog, you stink. Where have you been?" "Aged mutton is where I've been." About then, Sally Mae came on up the hill tying the strings on her housecoat and pushing the hair out of her eyes, which was red and puffy. What's this? What's wrong?" "Coyotes, son. A whole pack of 'em. I bet they were trying to get to that chicken house, but old Hank here suddenly appeared. You're a good dog, Hank, good dog. He and Drover—" "Where is Drover?" That was a good question. I kind of forgot about him in all that excitement. And then Sally Mae let out a big old cry. "Oh, no! I think he's not moving. He's just lying there." I've already mentioned that in security business, can't afford to let your emotions get the best of you. It's a tough business, and you have to be prepared for the worst. And I considered myself pretty much hard-boiled. When I saw little Drover stretched out over there on the ground, it did kind of rip me up. The little guy had done his best to protect the ranch. He'd stood his ground under combat conditions, but now we all went over to him, and he didn't move a muscle, not even a hair. It was pretty clear to me that he had died. And a big tear came rolling down my eye, and rolled right down my nose. I had to turn away. The little guy giving his life for this ranch, and I just couldn't stand to look anymore. So Looper bent down. There was a long silence. But then, "His heart's still beating. He's still alive." "Oh, thank goodness," said Sally Mae. "Actually, I can't see anything wrong with him. He's got a nick on his nose, and one of his ears been chewed on a little bit, but other than that, he looks all right." "Well, let's take him to the house, and I'll make him a nice little bed, and I'll try to get some warm milk down him." Looper gathered him up in his arms, and they started off down the hill. I just happened to be looking at Drover when all at once one of his eyes popped open. He glanced around, and then he closed it again. Well, that little runt was half-stepping it. That's what he was doing. He wasn't about to miss out on a soft bed and warm milk. All right, maybe he had fainted or something in the heat of the battle. That sounds like something he would do. But I could see now he wasn't feeling no pain. But it took him 2 whole days to get over his craving for warm milk and a soft bed. Probably could have strung it out another day or two, but he'd peed on the carpet, and that got him throwed out. I was down by the corrals when he came paddling up. Hi, Hank. What's going on? I was working another case and didn't really want to be disturbed. Hello, half-stepper. What's going on that some of us is having to work for a living, so other of us can just lay around in the house and milk drinking? He shrugged and gave me a silly grin. I'm feeling much better now, thanks. I'll bet, I said. But so, what you working on? I glanced over both shoulders before I answered. There's something funny going on around here, Drover. Look at these tracks here. I pointed to the tracks, but he didn't look. Tracks. Down here in the dirt, son. That's where you find most tracks, is there on the ground. Hank, tell me something. Did you really join up with those coyotes? I mean, did you really think you could live with them? I walked a short distance away, and for a minute I didn't answer. Drover, if I tell you something, you gotta swear to keep it a secret. He bobbed his head. No, I mean you gotta swear an oath. He raised his right paw. I swear an oath, Hank. My lips are sealed. All right, I guess I can trust you. You know what undercover work is? Well, sort of. Well, that's what I was doing. See, we weren't getting anywhere with the chicken house murders, so I figured the only way I could crack that case is if I infiltrated the coyote tribe. It's risky, and I knew I might not come back alive, but it had to be done. No fooling? That's right, and it had to be top secret. I mean, I couldn't even let you in on it. If them coyotes ever suspected a thing, it'd have been curtains for this old dog. Wow. Weren't you scared? Nah. Well, maybe a little bit. Actually, the toughest problem was keeping those women away. The women? That's right. You won't believe this, but they loved me. I mean, it even got embarrassing after a while. But right now, we got another case to track and to crack. Now look down here at these tracks. What do you make of them? Drover squinted at the tracks. Well, they're made by an animal. And I'd say that the animal walked right past here. And that animal left these tracks in the dirt. Well, so far so good. Keep going. He shook his head. But that's all I see, Hank. I'm stumped. All right, now listen then and learn. Them here's badger tracks. While we was busy fighting off the whole coyote nation, a badger slipped here into the ranch. And I got an idea he's still around. You mean if we follow those tracks, we'll find him? That's correct. Uh-oh. Badgers are pretty tough. That's true, but it's duty, and duty is duty. We started letting badgers in here, and before you know it, they'll try to take over the place. So come on, Drover, we got work to do. He gulped. Badgers have big claws, Hank. You leave those claws to me. I'll go in first wave, and then you jump up from behind. And darn you, if you run off and leave me again, I don't know what I'll do, but you won't like it. Okay, Hank, I'll be right behind you. I put my nose to the ground and started following the trail. It led around the saddle shed and through the garden. Reading the signs, I saw where Mr. Badger had stopped in the garden, dug up a couple worms or bugs. I continued east, up the hill, right to the yard fence. This is worse than I thought, Drover. He's there in the yard. That doesn't leave us much choice. This could get nasty. Could be a fight to the death. Whose death? In this business, you just never know. You just gotta give it your best for the ranch. Come on, let's move out. We hopped over the fence, and I got down in my stalking position again. Ooh, the scent was getting stronger now. It was real strong. Badgers have a musk gland, you know, and they leave a heavy scent. Suddenly, I saw him, hiding in a bunch of flowers. I froze. Drover ran into me. This is it, I whispered. Good luck. I crept forward 2 more steps, went into my attack position, and I sprang. I was suspended in the air over the flower bed, and I got a good look at that enemy. And it suddenly occurred to me that badgers aren't black with 2 white stripes running down the middle of their backs. They sure don't have a small head with beady little eyes, and they definitely don't have a long, bushy tail. It was a skunk. I'd been duped. I tried to change course in midair, but it was too late. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Drover jump the yard fence and head for the machine shed. What followed was entirely predictable. I landed right in the middle of that scoundrel, and he fired. The air turned yellow and poisonous, and my eyes began to water, and I was gasping for breath. Sally Mae's south window happened to be open. Like that was my fault. I mean, I hadn't gone through the house that morning opening up all the windows, now had I? Of course not. But on this ranch, rule number 1 is, when in doubt, blame Hank. I ran for my life and rounded the corner of the house just as Sally Mae came out the back door. She was armed with a broom and took a swat at me as I flew past. But my eyes were stinging so badly that you gotta understand that I could hardly see. And having trouble catching my breath, the back porch door was open. And you might say that I ran into the utility room, where Sally Mae may have just taken out a basket of clean clothes out of the washing machine. Was it my fault that she happened to be washing clothes that day? Get out of my house, you stinking dog! Well, as I said before, every dog in this world isn't cut out for security work. It requires a keen mind, a thick skin, and a peculiar devotion to duty. I mean, you put in 16 to 18 hours a day, you're on call day and night, and your life is on the line every time you go out on patrol. You're doing jobs that nobody else wants to because of the danger. You make the world a little safer, a little better. You take your satisfaction where you can, and knowing that you're going to do the job right. The very people you're protecting, they're not going to understand. They'll blame you when things go wrong. But that's the price of greatness, isn't it? And if you were born a cowdog, it's all part of a day's work. The end. And here's a picture of that final one. There it is. That is the end, guys. We have finished Hank the Cowdog. Awesome, awesome. It is now officially no more videos from Mrs. Froman. Yep, nope, no more videos. You will not have to watch any more. I hope you enjoyed Hank the Cowdog, though. I do enjoy that book. My son loved it, so I always like to read it. Enjoy your summer, guys. I loved seeing all of you the other day. I really enjoyed it. And when we have a chance to give each other a hug next year, please stop by and give me a hug. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.